Okay, welcome to my podcast. This is my festival podcast, so forgive me if it's been cringe or if it sounds a bit weird to me. I don't do this, but then I just feel like speaking, right? So the thing I want to speak about right now is this thing that we keep hearing every time, and I'm just going to start with this story. So I was literally in church this particular Sunday, and then this woman came out to give a testimony. She talked about, oh, she went to the village, they were to bury a sibling of ours, and then these people they call rainmakers came and they started threatening that um they are going to cause rain to fall if she doesn't settle them. And she's a Christian. She doesn't believe in that. She doesn't want to patronize them because to her it's evil to patronize rainmakers. And eventually she didn't pay, and then eventually they didn't rain. And then she said that oh, God has done it for her and all of that. But to me, I'm like, okay, the rain didn't fall, thank God. But then, is this thing really a thing? From my own little research, when I go through TikTok, when I go through Google, one person could say, "Oh, it's fake," and there are nothing less than 3 to 5 people saying, "Oh, it is real." I didn't used to believe before, but now I can see it's actually real. Oh, I saw somebody do it live. I posted this thing on my WhatsApp status, my WhatsApp status, and at least 2, 3 people told me it's real. That's oh, they've seen it live. One person said he paid them during his wedding and it didn't rain. One person said in her front, rain was falling, and then the person was making some incantations, and then the rain actually stopped falling. And I'm like, really? It doesn't work that way. So it doesn't work that way. And really, there's actually a BBC interview of this, right? BBC actually had to interview a particular rainmaker in the East. They took the cameras down there and said, "Oh, you can make it rain, right?" And then they called the man and they said, "Oh, make it rain for us." And long story short, the rain actually stopped, right? It's actually stopped. Yeah, I mean, the rain actually fell. It's actually rained. But then there was something when you dig deeper into the story. The interviewer actually said, "Oh, at that particular day, it was already said it was going to rain in that particular area, a light rain later that day." And there was something he said. I'm going to try and provide the links for this though. He said, the rain, it didn't rain until like almost 2 hours when they told the man to make it rain. And there was this excuse of, oh, there was a particular fire that was in the man's apartment, and that fire must not quench. If the fire quenches, then it's not going to call that rain or something. But basically, at the end of the day, it's kind of million. But the from the way the interviewer actually crafted the whole story, the whole narration, he ended it saying that he would rather trust his weather app. And when I also dug deeper, I literally asked ChatGPT, Claude, to search online for people that have actually tried to debunk this thing, or people that have actually tried to go into the root of these things. And the thing is, they seem to kind of they don't confirm, but they seem to kind of say, well, there's something in there, right? There's never oh, it's fake or it's real. It's almost a thing of okay, they tell them to make it rain or something, and somehow in the most verbose and unfalsifiable manner, it kind of just rains or stops raining. But then it doesn't still look like concrete proof. I think so for me, I'm like, is it really? If I'm to make a bet, right, I would definitely say it's not real, right? I would definitely say it's not real because how do you control rain as a human being? Like, how do you do that? Like, it's just goes. It's just like okay. Now, put me in this particular scenario in Lagos, right? Rain when it rains so much heavily, a lot of areas are like really consumed by flood and all of that, and then they kind of even beg God to just make the rain not fall, or maybe just a very light rain. So to me, it seems more like okay, in that kind of situation, if you genuinely have that kind of power, you kind of money you'll be amassing will be like mad because I can literally call in my area and say, "Oh, we are suffering from rain in this particular place. We have rain issues. When it rains heavily, everywhere gets flooded, and we have this issue. And I have this spark. I usually just say, "Oh, I am me, and I'll make rain not fall." Maybe if it's rope falling everywhere for 3 days, your own rain will just be 30 minutes. Your place will not be flooded and all of that. And then, so why is that not a thing? One thing people will say to counter stuff like that, because I've spoken to people about this, and they'll say, "Oh, most times it's not like you can stop the rain from forming your whole area. It could have be falling everywhere, but it's not falling in your own house, so it cannot work." And I'm like, okay, fine. So in that situation, if I am maybe like I don't even have to be that way because they don't even charge so much for these things. Let's just say I'm just a regular guy, right? Maybe I have an average income, I'm able to afford my amenities and every other thing. Why can I just call, okay, you people say you can do this thing, I'm going to pack five of you or 10. How much do you guys want to charge per one for one walk, right? 10K each, 20K each. I will situate all of them in different areas, right? You stay here, you stay here, you stay here. Oh, this rain has started falling. Please let this rain stop falling. And then it doesn't fall in my side, maybe in my whole surrounding, and then I don't have flooding. That shouldn't that be a thing? So one thing I've noticed with things like this or claims like this, when you zoom in into the macro level, it seems like it's actually very, very, very real. Oh, I saw it with my own eyes and all of that. But then it to me, it's still a little bit subjective because you saw it with your own eyes and it felt extremely real to you. Doesn't mean it's a universal objective truth, right? So now when you zoom out in the macro level, you find out that if indeed you actually have this kind of power and it's actually been tested, not like scientifically tested, given different circumstances, different scenarios, and it actually works. Not even let's not even say 100% of the time, 80% of the time, right? Different scenarios. Then in that kind of situation, you should be much more richer than you are because that kind of skill is like crazy. You can literally do and undo, right? In that kind of situation, governments in Dubai would literally will not need to spend millions. I don't know the exact figure, whether it's hundreds of thousands or maybe it's millions, tens of thousands, but they won't be spending so much in trying to make it rain in those areas like places like UAE where it barely rains and all of that. Essentially, what they do in those places is they literally have to send planes to the skies, release salts into the atmosphere. And because of the way because of salt's nature, it has a way of dragging in moisture. So the salt forces a lot of moisture to like coagulate in the skies, and then it forms heavy clouds, and then that will make it to rain in those kind of places. So I can already imagine that will cost a lot of money for them to make it rain in all of those places. So now me, if I now found out, oh, there's some people in the village in the east that can make it rain. I don't need to even fly planes to make it rain. I can literally just call this people and say, okay, fly in 50 people. How much do you guys want? Put you on a yearly salary. I have a lot of money. And all you just have to do is make it rain when I need it to rain. It's always going to, like, obviously, you are like, I can easily do that. But why don't we see all of those things happening? To me, it feels like there's a problem somewhere. It seems it could feel real, but and again, I also need to mention when I posted this on my story, right? Two people confirmed it seems to be fake. There was a friend of mine, he said, oh, they were doing this traditional place, a traditional thing in that farm, in that place, a traditional ceremony and stuff like that. And they needed it not to rain. And then they paid this particular rainmaker or rain stopper, what do you want to call him? And then it eventually still rained on that day. So, like, somebody else also said the same thing that, oh, it actually doesn't rain. They pay this particular, it actually doesn't work. They pay this particular person to make it rain and it didn't, and it's actually still rained. So to me, I'm like, I feel like the moment it works, the moment it seems to work, it gives you this idea that okay, it seems oh, this is actually real and all of that. But when it doesn't work, there's always an excuse, a very, very well laid out excuse as to why it's not working, right? So let's even say it even works 60% of the time, which I doubt, maybe 50% of the time, it will feel so real. If it's 50%, the other 50% where it doesn't work, maybe they could easily say, oh, maybe somebody committed an offense to offend the gods or something, or they just sweep it under the carpet. But to me, and the problem I have with this particular topic is the moment I speak about it, most people always just give this idea of, oh, because you live in Lagos, you've not really seen life. There are a lot of spiritual things that people do, but in Lagos, there are not many people like that. That's why you think it's not real. People were literally look at me like two people literally look at me like I am really, really, really naive and I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. But then to me, I'm like, it needs to make sense if it's actually real, right? It needs to make sense, not just in the micro level, on the macro level. It should be able to replicatable every single instance, not just in a particular village. Or I don't know, like, is anybody like thinking in the same direction I'm thinking? So if I'm to make a bet, right, I would say, but I could be wrong anyways. I would literally say this should be false, right? It's not real. I personally feel it's just a well fine-tuned skill. So essentially now I know how the rain patterns is in my area. I should be able to look at the skies in the morning and say, oh, it's probably going to rain today, and then maybe somebody's doing a party, I start threatening them that rain is going to fall, and somehow rain actually falls, right? The one thing that people say about things like this is that they will say things like, "Oh, somebody can make it rain only at your own compound, just like to punish you." And I always wonder, okay, really, is that really true? Maybe. So I won't say for certain that I'll make it, if I'm to make it better, I'll say it's false anyways. But I won't say for certain I'm 100% sure it's true or false. Is false. Because at the end of the day, as a Christian, they tell you that, oh, a lot of dark forces and all of that. You need to, a lot of people have evil powers, blah blah blah, power of the devil, but Christ reigns supreme, and all of that. So maybe I would say, okay, spiritual things and all of that. I don't really know so much about it and all of that. So maybe, but if I'm to make a bet, right, $10,000 on the line, is it true or is it false? I'll say it's false, but I would really like to know what you think. You can probably reach out to me on Twitter, be like Marv, BELIKEMARV, and let me know your thoughts. So that's basically it. And this is my first podcast. I'm excited about you listening to me. Um, just let me know what you think. Bye.